It's the 4th of June, 2024. It's a beautiful day outside, sunny. Just got done raining a while ago, and now it's all drying out. I thought to myself, what am I going to do today with this fantastic day out ahead of me? And I decided I'm going to fry an egg. I'm going to fry an egg, and I'm going to make a video of how to fry an egg. And a lot of people might say, well, that's just stupid. How hard can it be to fry an egg? I mean, the recipe is pretty much embedded in the title of the food, fried egg. Take an egg and fry it. And you'd be right. That's as simple as it is. However, there are a bunch of ways to screw that up. And let's say that you've never fried an egg before. I mean, there are people like that. They're called young people. And let's say you wanted to fry an egg, but you thought to yourself, I don't think I want to ask anybody how to fry an egg because I might feel stupid. Sorry, that was just my toast going off. We'll get to that in a little while. So, if you don't know how to fry an egg and you're too embarrassed to ask anybody how to fry an egg, how are you going to learn how to fry an egg? Well, you're going to watch this video and it will all be revealed, along with a number of other tasty tips. Now, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about eggs. And we're going to talk about frying pans. We'll talk about fat and seasoning. And we'll just say a word about toast, which is, in fact, I think, an important part to an egg for breakfast. But not everybody agrees with me, and so I'm flexible on that. Let's talk about eggs. There are something like 200, over 200 million eggs consumed every day in America alone. It's a phenomenal number. And a lot of them are fried. Why? Because they're fantastic. They taste great. So you start with an egg. There you have it. Looks like an egg. We'll talk about how to break that open in just a little bit. Second thing you got to have is some fat. Now, what are we going to do about fat? Well, there's lots of kinds of fat. Here's some. It's called vegetable oil. I would not ever use this cooking in my kitchen. Because, first of all, I don't like the taste of it, but secondly, and more importantly, it will kill you. If you have any questions about whether vegetable seed oil is good for you or not, just search up dangers of vegetable seed oil and get prepared to drive way down into a rabbit hole about some really nasty fluid. So we don't use this in my kitchen at all. This is an old bottle. What you want to find is some natural fats, and there are a number of them. Let's start with one which I probably will not be using today, not at all. That's coconut oil. And I like coconut oil for a lot of things, but the taste of coconuts in eggs just puts me off a little bit, so I don't go with that. Now, there is avocado oil, and avocado oil doesn't taste like much of anything at all. It's kind of got a low flavor profile, if you will. And it's not bad. I don't necessarily like it the best for eggs, but this is a good alternative for lots of different cooking. And healthy for you as well. The old favorite, the standby olive oil. If you don't cook with olive oil, I'm terribly sorry. You have a problem. You have to fix that. Olive oil is one of the most fantastic oils that there is for cooking, and cooking of all sorts. But when it comes to eggs, I don't really like the texture, the mouthfeel that olive oil gives me. So I'm down to two that I normally use. One of them is lard, and I will cook with lard quite frequently, particularly when I'm cooking meats and vegetables. Because I like the flavor. It's not very strong at all. In fact, there's not much of a flavor, although I think it makes beef and pork taste better, personal opinion. But it is very good for you as well. Again, it has to do with different types of fats and how they're created and how your body uses them. If you're interested, do some research. Look up fats in the diet. It's extremely helpful to understand what kind of fats there are and whether or not they're good for you. So now we've gone through all of the ones I'm not going to use. We're going to get to the one that I'm going to use, and that's this one. My favorite for eggs is butter. I think butter just imparts an excellent flavor on eggs and many other foods. And I am not getting all wound up about the cholesterol thing for eggs and animal fats. I think that is all exceptionally overblown in the world of health and nutrition and diet. So we're going with butter. We've got our way through the fats now. Let's talk about seasoning. You got your salt, you got your pepper, and if you're lucky, if you're a fortunate person, and I am, in fact, a fortunate person, you will find in your cabinet a jar of the original, celebrated Grandma Vern's all-purpose seasoning mix. And it's probably the best possible thing you can put on many foods. It does not work on oatmeal. I tried it. That's a loser. But meats and vegetables and especially eggs, I find it really good on eggs. Now, if you don't have Grandma Vern's, and you probably don't. In fact, it's almost impossible that you would, because it's only sold in a couple of small stores in rural Minnesota, and you can buy it directly from the guy who makes it, which is where I get it. If I ever can convince the guy to go online and start selling in an online store, I'll publish where you can find it and get it. You won't regret it. If you don't have it, like I say, you probably don't. You can use another seasoning salt if you wish. You can make your own seasoning salt by mixing some stuff together in the cupboard. That can be dangerous if you haven't got a lot of experience with it. But hey, give it a try. And the store-bought ones, the orange cap, the brown cap, whichever one you buy, they're pretty good. There's nothing wrong with those. They make a good food. They'll liven up the taste of an egg in a very suitable way. It will not be Grandma Vern's, I'm terribly sorry to say, and until you get a jar of this stuff, you won't be able to taste what a fried egg is supposed to taste like. But hey, take my word for it. One day you will, and you'll love it. So now let's get on with the actual cooking part of the show. I'll put all this condiments here for future use. I will slide my pan, and we didn't really talk about fry pans too much. I was going to do that right here. You can get non-stick fry pans, and they're great. You can get non-stick fry pans that the non-stick coating is worn off, and they're horrid. Do not cook eggs in those. They're half coated with Teflon. First of all, if the Teflon comes out, it's inert. It's not going to hurt you, but it's gross. Eating little flakes of Teflon. But more importantly, it's if you do try to cook with a non-stick pan, and some of them advertise you can cook an egg without any fat. Don't do that. Those taste horrid, in my opinion. That's just a bad idea. Okay, so let's get on with this. What are we going to do? We're going to turn the burner on, and for some reason I got a problem with my burner. It doesn't want to play, so I got to light another burner, and poof, then it blows up. It's great. It's good fun. A little danger in cooking, I think, is always worth the effort. Now I put it on about just a little over medium heat. I don't want it too hot because it'll burn the bottom of the eggs. This is not a good thing. Now I'm going to take a little slab of butter. You don't need a lot. Check this out. That's probably too much. Let's take less. See? Can you see that? There's not very much on there. I'm going to slide it into the pan. The reason I don't need very much is I just need a thin layer. And that will not only prevent it from sticking, but it will most definitely improve the flavor. Now here's your egg, and I'm going to crack it by hitting it sharply against the side of the bowl and then carefully splitting it in half. Now you can see this turned out just perfect because I've got a little tiny flake of egg in there, and you say, how in the world can that possibly be perfect? And the answer is, you'll notice that I cracked this into, I'm going to turn the heat down because I don't want the butter to bubble too much. You notice I cracked this into the bowl, not into the pan. Why dirty the bowl? And the answer is that if something like this happens, and if you've ever tried to do this before, try to get this guy, try to pick him up, he moves every time you get close to him. See how that works? Let me see if we can find that. Can you see that? Every time I try to get my fingers around this guy, he's all over, he moves. He's a jerk. Okay, so what do? You chase that around for the afternoon? No, you don't. You take your finger and you go right straight down on top of him and you trap him against the side of the bowl, and then you fish him right up like that. You slide him up the edge, and what do you have? You have your nemesis on the end of your finger, and you can now torture him or throw him down the disposal as you wish. Now, what would have happened if I would have just cracked it into the pan? Well, I could have done the same thing, but you know what I'd have been doing is dragging my finger pressed along the bottom of a hot pan. That hurts. I tried that before. It's really painful. Don't do that. Crack them into a bowl. And if you crack more than one into a bowl, crack one and then pour it into the pan, and crack another one and then pour it into the pan. And you do that in case you get one of those eggs that's got a little goober, a bloody thing of some sort, whatever it is, a chicken growing, I don't know what it is. But you get sometimes, very rarely, an egg that passed through inspection that's got something inside of it. And you don't want that mixed in with all your other eggs unless you don't give a damn. But if you do, if you crack them one at a time, you will be able to salvage it. Now, I just spread that around. I turn the heat back up to medium again. I just spread that around so there's butter all the way around the pan. Now I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to put the bowl really close because I don't want that yolk dropping out and plopping on and then breaking and going into a serious problem zone. I'm going to try to keep this thing not breaking. So now that I've got that on there, I can put a little salt, and I'll do a grinder to a pepper. Oh, by the way, if you don't use fresh ground pepper, you should. There's really quite a difference. I mean, pepper's pepper, right? No, freshly ground pepper tastes different. It's just a fact. Try it out sometime. Now, we've got those two on. We're going to put on the secret ingredient, the Grandma Verne's all-purpose seasoning mix. And just a light sprinkle. You don't have to overdo it. I mean, you know, grand total cost of adding Grandma Verne's to your egg, it's probably about 3/4 cent. I haven't calculated it out, but it's tiny. It's tiny. And it's the best thing in the pan, so it's definitely worth the effort. Now, as I said a little earlier, I put a piece of toast in. There he is. It's homemade toast. I say homemade. It was made in the bread machine. See how square it is? But that's not bad. A bread machine still makes a pretty good pile of toast. So I'm going to put this on there like that. A sliver of butter. I'm going to prep my pan. Put it right here. I've already got the lid pretty well figured out. Put the toast on the side like this. Now you'll notice, check the egg out. You can come around the edges, and you want the edges to be free. You don't want, if they stick anywhere, it'll probably be at the edge. And then you want to kind of go all the way under. You want to make sure that the egg, you're pushing him around, you're bullying him around the pan. You don't want him hung up on anything. Now, the key to this is get your spatula under like this, and then slide fast. You got to do a slide fast. And now you got to flip it over, and here's the most dangerous part of the entire operation if you like your yolks runny. This has got to be done in one easy move. And you can't spend a lot of time worrying about it. You just got to make it happen. The worst possible thing that's going to happen to you is the yolk's going to break and all your friends are going to laugh and the people at the news station downtown are going to call you an idiot. But who cares about any of them? This is your breakfast. Okay, so do it the way you want. But again, practice the flip, because if you're making eggs for somebody who likes their yolks runny and unbroken, they'll piss and moan if you can't. And it's not a hard skill. Now, you'll see by just a light tap, don't go too hard here, you'll break, but just a light tap tells you how far done it is. And with a little experience, you can find out the perfect doneness for you. Now, since I've been using toast, when I'm doing toast, I like to have plenty of liquid in there. I don't like the thing completely fried through. But if I don't have any toast, I kind of like to have it fried all the way through. I don't like the runny. Now, that's a weird combination, but there's nothing I can do about it. That's just the way it is. Now, here's what we're going to do to finish this off. First thing, we're going to turn off the burner, because if you don't, you'll burn your house down, and that's really a dumb thing to do for an egg. Now, I'm going to take this egg. Again, I slipped underneath him in one fast move. Do not be indecisive when it comes to cooking. I mean, take bold actions. Get under the egg. Now look at that. I don't know if you have ever rated fried eggs in your life, but my guess is that this one is going to turn out pretty high on the scale. What I'm going to do for you right now is I'm going to eat some, and if you like, you just take a smell of this. Oh, that's good. That smells really good. Now, what I enjoy doing is I just crush this all up. I crunch it up into a pile, because what I like is my egg kind of brought in chunks along with the toast. Now, We'll move this over so you can see it. Take care of your fry pans. Your fry pans will take care of you. Now, you've already gotten through that, didn't you? You saw that eggs, fry pan, fat, seasoning, toast is optional for some, not for me. Let's have a bite. I'm going to take a little bit of egg and I'm going to put it right on the corner of my bread. And then I'm going to bring it up and I'm going to eat it. Oh, 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 oh. Man, that is so good. I mean, even without the graham of verge, just a fried egg with salt and pepper and butter is a grade A meal. It takes almost no time. It's not expensive, and it is just extremely tasty. But if you can spare the extra, what did I say? Maybe a penny or two to put on graham of verge, or other seasoning salts if you will. I mean, I'm only evangelizing about graham of verge because it's the best seasoning on the planet. Best seasoning mix. But that doesn't mean it's the only one. And so experiment. Find one you like if you can't find graham of verge. And try some other things. Try some Italian seasoning. Here's another bite. Stand back. That is just fantastic, boys and girls. I'm sorry for talking with my mouth full, but I can't stop. And so that's just the way it is. Really, all the more I got to say is a quick recap. You're going to fry an egg, the important things. First of all, I'd use butter. Don't use vegetable seed oil. Second thing, I'd use a cast iron pan. But that's up to you. And again, try not to use one that's got a hacked up bottom because that's going to cause it to stick more. And then salt and pepper and a seasoning salt if you like. Toast, I think mandatory, but others will find it optional. And when you flip, be decisive, be bold. Slide that spatula right underneath there with some force, with some determination. You're not going to ruin this meal. You're going to make it. So I'll let you get back to your kitchen. Take care. Hope you join me again sometime. Thanks.